the most wanted gangster in Cape Town behind bars. If you guys didn't know, one day when your boy is older and I've traveled the world like 7 times, twice, I'd like to retire in one of 2 places. One, Glentana in Great Brock River, or most likely Camps Bay, Cape Town. Cape Town is one of the most aesthetically beautiful places in the whole world. In 1652, when the first publicly traded company in the world, the Dutch East India Company, started traveling to the east to buy spices from India, Jan van Riebeeck was tasked with setting up a rest stop at the tip of Africa in a place that at the time they called Table Bay. Cape Town, as it's come to be known, was the first place European settlers made their home, where the Dutch mixed with other ethnicities, then started calling themselves Afrikaners before the Great Trek. Years later, Cape Town has one of the most established economies in the world. Beautiful landscapes and bruh, the womans. I love me my colored Marys and my Xhosa girls. Ha! Cape Town is one of the most unequal cities in the world, because just a street away from this is what you get. In South Africa, because of apartheid laws, black people were not allowed to live in white designated areas in the suburbs and cities. However, the only jobs people could get was working for white people as manual laborers, like housekeeping and gardening, which was written in the Bantu education laws. Somehow, the white people at the time expected black people to somehow travel from the homelands to the suburbs every day, which was genuinely not possible. So black people would start building temporary iron shack shelters on the outskirts of the suburbs which they worked in, which unfortunately has permeated into the current time as long-term homes. They also became known as the townships or lukasis. With children being born in the outskirt areas, we would start to see a rapid increase in crimes within those areas as everyone was fighting to make ends meet while not having guidance, while parents would be out working all day. Naturally, businesses were also being built. The most prominent in the whole country was the taxi business, a ride-sharing service transporting the workers from the lukasis to the suburbs and back. The other businesses was local convenience stores, or as they would call them in Cape Town, spaza shops. The video today is the culmination and meeting of those 2 worlds, being crime and business. During the late 19th and 20th century, when the South African diamond and gold boom happened, many Africans started flocking towards South Africa in search of mining jobs. In this period, the wealth of South Africa grew, making South Africa the most, if not one of the most affluent countries in Africa. The foreign nationals would have a pause during the Apartheid and Angolan War era. However, at the turn of the century and after Apartheid, South Africa became the mirage in the distance for most African folk. With the turning of power over to the public and the failure of most countries such as Mugabe's Zimbabwe, it seemed as if the opportunities were endless in South Africa. Over the years, with the influx of more and more foreign nationals entering the country, more and more South Africans grew to resent the foreigners willing to work for less and live in squalor. However, for other foreign nationals who struggled to get work in the country's dwindling resources, they found business opportunities, with Middle Eastern and African Arabic nationals taking over the aforementioned spaza shop sector, where most black and white people used to own those shops depending on the area. Somalis, Pakistanis, and Ethiopians have now bought up and are now running those shops. The resentment from the community wouldn't really show itself until the 2010s, when many of their stores would be looted and burnt over politics within the Kasis. In one particular neighborhood though, it was way more serious. The year is 1983. The president/prime minister of the country was P.W. Botha, a man who was completely against black people and the complete cooperation with them. In fact, he was one of the guys that criticized de Klerk during the black majority handover. Before this though, he had already started accepting black people within urban areas and would slowly officially establish the places such as the Flats, Gugulethu, and Khayelitsha, just to name a few. In 2023, Khayelitsha is now the biggest township in South Africa. Being the biggest township, it is now also the most dangerous township in Cape Town, with gang warfare being ripe as the struggle for a manageable life increases by the year. So unlike the colored areas such as Menenberg, Khayelitsha's biggest crimes aren't from drugs. The biggest form of crime plaguing the city at the moment is extortion. With the tensions rising between South Africans and foreign nationals, certain neighborhoods mixed with crime and gang culture gave rise to gangs extorting the foreign-owned spaza shops in the city. Over the last few years, extortion of these places for protection has grown rampant. In fact, it's spilling from just the spaza shops into normal businesses of the neighborhood dwellers, even moving a little bit into the city. The proceeds made from this extortion gave rise to gangs, the two current biggest ones being Boko Haram and the Guptas.
I just dropped the best music video in South Africa for 2023.
Yo, 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 yo. Tiggy, tiggy, yo, tiggy, tiggy, yo, tiggy, tiggy, yo.
Name another one. Which other YouTube creator you know has a better music video than this? In fact, I dare you to click on the music video link at the end of this video and comment a better music video. If there isn't, then you gotta leave a comment saying #1 music video in South Africa. Alright,
You can come through and hang with the leaders. If you need us, we out in the trap. Hella bitches that came out to see us. And I swear it's only hot mama Mercedes. I can chill in my Jeep that I cap. Rather stack up the cheese, yeah, the cheese. With the broke boys, you know that's the fam. We religion, the future, the clan. We the ones, we the ones, we the ones. We the ones, we the ones, we the ones. We the ones, we the ones, we the ones. We the ones, we the ones, we the ones. I can't hang in my Jeep that I cap. Rather stack up the cheese.
From the ashes of the gangs like the Gaza Montones and the Palestines came the rise of a gang called the Boko Haram. On the 14th of April 2014, almost 300 female students from the ages of 16 to 18 were kidnapped from the Chibok Secondary School in Nigeria. From that day onward, the whole world reverberated the name of Boko Haram, an Islamic terrorist group in Nigeria whose goals are to purify the state and turn it completely into an Islamic one. With the influx of Nigerian and Congolese immigrants migrating to South Africa, rumors would go around that Boko Haram would be making its way to South Africa. Their militant style of operations were violent and most times deadly. This would then influence a gang in South Africa to adopt the same name to move forward with their criminal activity. The Boko Haram gang actually started in Pretoria, Gauteng. They specialized in cash and charges robberies across the country. CIT robberies have long been a prominent South African crime due to the regulations around security and the time available for perpetrators if they get caught. As of late, law enforcement has beefed security up more against these type of crimes, making it a risky endeavor. Take for instance the death of the leader of Boko Haram and one of the biggest gangsters in Cape Town, Yanga Nyalaka, on the 20th of October 2020. He sustained a head wound during a CIT robbery, which he eventually died from after being in a coma for 2 days. Yanga Nyalaka was one of the biggest gangsters known around Cape Town, even rubbing shoulders with some of the biggest public figures, Cape Town underworld, and even politicians. His funeral was attended by over 500 people, with gunshots being fired in the air in commemoration. You see this chick right here? Yambona Lu? Yeah. Remember, about a few days later, on the 2nd of November, the Gugulethu massacre would occur.
Now let me take you to the Western Cape. Gugulethu residents say two gangs are terrorizing residents in a turf war. Many believe the latest killing spree, where 8 people were gunned down, could be linked to rival gangs. There have been at least 4 mass shootings in Cape Town since March. ENCA's Nobasutu Hejana now speaks to frustrated members of the community.
6 armed men stormed into a house at NY78 and opened fire, killing 8 out of the 9 people there. The reason for the massacre was because of the rising tensions of succession after the death of Yanga Nyalaka. The hit was actually for one person who was in the house at the time, the only person to actually have escaped. This woman right here. I'm not gonna say her name because I ain't no snitch like that, but the reason she was targeted was because she was a known drug dealer in the city. These are the men alleged to have carried out those killings. This woman was told to pay up money from her business and she refused. She was basically being extorted. A few days earlier, these shootings would have probably never happened while Ayanda was still alive, as he was the main peacekeeper between Boko Haram and the gang that was alleged to have carried out this massacre. The Guptas. The Guptas are a fairly new gang in Cape Town, only having been around for 4 years. Most of the group's ethos has been to be flashy and to show off a lavish lifestyle. Most of the group members are young teens and early adults. However, these guys are deadly, I tell you. That brings us to the rise of the topic at hand. Yanga Nyalaka. Yanga Nyalaka, also known as Bara, from Brown's Farm in Philippi, Cape Town, grew up in Khayelitsha too. He graduated from Zola Business High School in Cape Town. He studied education and wanted to become a teacher after high school. However, having fathered 2 children by 2014 at the age of 19, his business intellect from high school would kick in. Also, schooling was difficult as he had been arrested in 2013 for carrying an unlicensed firearm. So he resurfaced in 2016 having ownership of taxi. He actually applied for a long distance permit at the time of this recording. Now, from the information online, there isn't much that you can find out about him. Any recent social media accounts have been deactivated and not a lot is visible about Bara. However, from the community chatter, Yanga was the de facto government around Khayelitsha, and most of the people in the city adored him due to him providing food to the neighborhood during the 2020 lockdown. Ironically, he's also been helping with the crime in the city in terms of elimination of housebreakings and other petty crimes.
To tell Becky to release him. Whatever he was accused of, we don't care. Because our kids are dying. We are dying. We are being raped. We are being killed. So we want Yanga to be released, as in to die.
Now guys, I've taken away the narrator voice because I want to warn you for the next part of the video. I want to explain why Bara became the most wanted man in Cape Town for the better part of 2021 and 2022. A lot of what I will explain is very hard to hear and it may upset some viewers. Also, everything that I say from here on out is alleged. Ane? One of Bara's closest friends and known associates, Skhumbule, would make his way to a corner in Banzi Street and Baca Avenue at the T&T cash store right here. It seems like this was the second time in the day that Skhumbule had come to the same shop, and while on his way out, he was confronted by other gang members from a rival gang about hitting the same shop more than once. A few seconds later, Skhumbule would be deleted with a wound in the head. On hearing this, Yanga swore revenge. He was intent on not just deleting the leader of the other gang, but to also sabotage their business. This was done in one of the most brutal ways possible. He gathered an army of about 10 to 15 men and took to the streets. Yanga and his men were walking through a passage near Duze Close in the Y section on their way to see Pire, the leader of the rival gang. The first victim was walking in the opposite direction. First, he went past Bara and 2 other associates, probably being Tofile and Ngumla, noticing that they were packing. Either Tofile or Ngumla looked at him and said, "Ujonge ntoni son?" The victim looked away and carried on walking, only to be walking past 7 other gangsters holding semi-automatic rifles. Talk about a situation going from bad to worse. He tried to walk past quickly, but one of the men turned around and BOOM! In the face. The men carried on walking with their trick. Luckily, that first victim somehow survived this and ran to the nearest hospital. So as they were walking, they made their way to Lelala Crescent and encountered a car with the second victim as he was driving past. One of the men lifted up a gun at the driver and BOOM! The driver took off as a hail of bullets started tearing at his car. He was luckily not injured at all by any. Those two victims were probably shot because they were witnesses and could probably identify them in court. The group made their way to the Freedom Cash store. Right here is 646, still in Site B. This was a store known to pay the rival gang. Without warning, all the men aimed at the store and started firing at it with pistols, automatic and semi-automatic rifles. During the shots, the shopkeeper was injured but survived. The group would go back the way they had came, making their way Kwanguks. Gavin Futo was walking on the same street and immediately ran toward the tavern as he saw them. He was shot in the chest as he was running. Gavin would be the first fatality of the spree. Outside the tavern, there was a white Toyota Corolla parked with two people inside. Brothers Mandla Kayise and Tabiso Simelani. One of the members in the gang just started going in on the car, deleting both occupants inside. While the occupants were being deleted in the car, one of the bullets would stray, hitting a woman in a neighboring house in the leg. They then made their way to Bayana Street in Skomo supermarket. They walked in and shot the second fatality in their spree, Ibrahim Abdullah Ahmed, in the chest. The group then walked across the railway line into the RR section of Khayelitsha. Asemahle Mayekiso was unfortunately also walking past the group. Wrong place at the wrong time. They would carry on walking to the Zemazema supermarket, where they encountered Simpiwe Mzola and Siyabonga Betani, who actually were delivering bread at the time. Two members of the gang were seen raising their pistols at the boys. Simpiwe was hit in the head, while Lucia was hit in the torso. Hassan Nur Mohammed, one of the owners of the store, was standing outside smoking a cigarette when one of the members noticed him and deleted him at the same time as Sia and Simpiwe. He was hit in the head. Two victims were walking in the same street while the other three were being deleted. The first was hit in the face but survived. The second, Utembile Lamani, was hit in the head and deleted instantly on the scene. The group then returned back across the railway and made it back to where it all began, the tea and the tea cash store. Umzingi Simbilini was walking on the same street and happened to be on his way to the store. He was hit in the torso and was deleted later in the hospital. Two of the gang members walked in the store and hit both storekeepers, Ahmed Abukar Omar and Osman Wado. They were actually hit multiple times by the group, seemingly because they allowed the deletion of Skumbule to happen by paying both gangs. So much for protection, right? Another of the shopkeepers was hit in the ass, but he survived the hit. That was the Site B massacre, a day of carnage never to be forgotten by the residents of Khayelitsha. This made Yanga Nyalaka or Bara the most wanted man in Cape Town. It's obvious to me that they targeted anyone who was in the vicinity of those stores, extorted by the rival gang members, so that nobody associates with those stores ever again, thus making it difficult on the rivals' pockets.
Wait, don't click off just yet. You promised you'd watch my music video though. It's just 3 minutes. Literally. Here it is on the screen. It's the best music video in South Africa. Remember to say that in the comments. And if you can't tell me a better music video from another YouTuber, then you must write I'm the best. Now click on the music video. Don't be slack. Just click on the music video. Click now.